Well, hey there, and guess what? It's the church video series coming at you, So far we've talked about cameras and lenses and crop factor, and today we're entering into the very exciting realm of frame rates. Well, let's get started off with a little bit of video IQ. The reason that videos are often called moving pictures is because, go figure, they are precisely that. Each second of video footage has a certain number of images in that second. So it could have 24 images in the second, it could have 30 images in the second, it could have 60 different images in each second, and the amount of images determines the frame rate. I know this can sound a bit technical, but it's actually very straightforward, and I can guarantee you are very familiar with frame rates. Have you ever noticed how soap operas are always really fake and cheesy compared to Hollywood movies? That's because of frame rates. You see, back in the day before digital video cameras were ever invented, all video was shot on 35mm film. This was the kind of film that you would see in older cartoons that goes like this and kind of looks like Mickey Mouse ears. And this type of film, 35mm film, could only capture 24 frames in every single second. And because of that, by default, all films were 24 frames per second. That was the frame rate, 24p. And today, that is still the standard for movies. So you might ask, Brady, if we have all these technological advances, why are we still shooting in old technology? And the reason for this is, the more frames that you have every second, the crisper and smoother the motion looks. And while this may seem good, it actually doesn't look like real life. It looks superhuman, because the way we see with our eyes, there's an amount of motion blur in our vision. We can't see everything super smooth. And so when you see something on a screen that looks super smooth, it actually doesn't look like real life, because it's actually better than we can actually see. And so we're purposely not moving forward with technology so that we can still simulate how we see on the big screen. So here's what you need to know about shooting videos and frame rates for your church and your ministry. Basically, all digital video cameras have the option to choose what frame rate you want to use, and the standard choices are 24 frames per second, which is the video look, 30 frames, and 60 frames. So for me, I always shoot in 24p for sermon videos, for vision films, trailers, interviews, baptism videos, all those things, because I want it to look as cinematic and beautiful as possible. Now 30p, 30 frames per second, it ain't bad, but it's just not as nice as 24. There's only one time I don't shoot in 24, and that's when I want some nice slow motion. The idea is, if you want really silky, smooth slow motion, you shoot in 60 frames so that it has that like soap opera look, but then in your post-production you slow it down back to 24, and so all the frames are still there and you get really nice slow motion. The one thing you need to know about video is that it always comes down to showing the audience what you want them to see, and one of the key defining factors of that is shooting in the right frame rate. So by default, always use 24 frames per second unless you're shooting slow motion. Well, there you have it, our exciting, riveting, insightful lesson on frame rates. You'll never be the same. I know. If you want to see a practical example of this, go watch your favorite movie and then go watch Peter Jackson's The HOBBIT. The HOBBIT, which came out December 2012, was shot in 48 frames per second, exactly double 24. Now this had never been done on a mainstream kind of thing, and so it was kind of a big deal. If you saw The Hobbit in theaters, you might have noticed that everything was super smooth and it kind of looked a bit weird. Now you know why. So go check that out. Who knows, maybe it'll catch on. So subscribe to this channel to get all the new videos every single week straight to you. Also, head over to prochurchtools.com, sign up to get your free ebook. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll surely do my best to answer them, and we'll see you next time.